How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to talk about all the crazy OPEC stuff, slashing oil output. This is a problem. Problem for the US, problem for the West, and honestly, a problem for the world. And it is part of the de-dollarization process. So, this is all about oil, geopolitics, geostrategic errors, big mistakes, and of course, domestic issues that are happening here in the States. So OPEC lines up with Russia. They're pushing aside the U.S. Remember that fist bump that the president had with the Saudi Arabian guy? This is embarrassing. The worst part is, and I've made videos in the past about it, this is part of the de-dollarization process. Why? Because Saudi Arabia had a deal with the U.S. to only accept the global reserve currency, the dollar. And that is now really, it's coming to fruition, this de-dollarization process. This is a really big problem. And many do believe that the Saudis have moved from swing producers to help the U.S. when it is in trouble to now somebody who's actually lining up with our enemy, the Russians, who are apparently in bed with the Saudis now. I don't know how in the world. What's the U.S. going to do in these troubling times, right? You got the energy crisis, the war with Russia. What are they going to do? Well, they're going to release some of the oil from the Strategit Petroleum Reserve, which of course is not bottomless, and that's the problem. It hasn't really been upkept. The capacity has been going down. I actually made a video about that too. And this is going to be a geopolitical emergency, an energy geopolitical emergency. So of course the president blasted the Saudis, the OPEC, and the other nations because, well, he needs to. The president needs prices to remain low, especially in the upcoming couple of months. This is a really big problem. They're very upset. And basically, they're saying the Saudis are aligning, OPEC are aligning with Russia. Now, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, unfortunately, has been pretty much drained. And here is a graph. This is from Bloomberg. And it goes to show that this stuff is not bottomless. You know what I mean? Look at this. The estimate is 22 days left supply in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. This is an emergency, and it's not going to help for them to just release these barrels that they have. It's 22 days. Maybe they could do it just because of the election, but I mean, after that, it's sky high prices. Here's another graph showing from Bloomberg. Ooh, this is a dire issue. Look at this. And it shows the years. So from 2020 to 2022, it's a nosedive. Why have they not upkept the strategic reserve? Why? It makes no sense. So then what's happening now? Well, some in the oil industry are basically poking fun at the geopolitical situation. They're poking fun because they feel that they have been constrained by the government, unfortunately, from essentially producing a maximum of oil here in the United States. And that creates a problem because, guess what? OPEC. So here, the U.S. fuel industry is now having harsh words. Of course, they're saying, and I quote here, the U.S. Oil and Gas Association. OPEC says no. SPR options are all but gone. SPR, Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The White House has one option left, and it is the one option they should have never turned away from in the first place. And this is absolutely true. The U.S.-based oil and gas industry. This is the problem with, unfortunately, going too green, too fast, pushing it down everyone's throat. And everyone suspects it's because those people who push it so much, this green is, well, they're going to come out winning. They're invested in these businesses. They're looking to essentially overtake the business that currently is owned by the oil and gas industry here in the States. So here's another one. Seems like just yesterday the president was meeting with the Saudis, and that's true. See that fist bump again. OPEC Plus panel recommends 2 million barrel cut to output limits. Ouch. This is another criticism. Ouch. Just a reminder, amid calls to increase domestic production, the administration leased fewer acres for oil and gas on federal lands and waters than any other administration dating back to World War II. Ouch. You can't get harsher than that. And that's kind of when reality slaps you in the face. Here's an article by Forbes, rightfully, essentially saying that the big OPEC countries, the oil producing countries, the cuts have provoked a lot of pointed responses. Pretty crazy. So this is by David Blackman. He's obviously a Texas-based public policy consultant. Very critical of the current administration and their potential war on energy. Now remember these wars on energy, you got the green group. They're probably trying to overtake the market share of the oil and energy industry. And this is a problem because they're kind of battling it out. And some of the greens in power are really going after the oil and gas industry. The problem is, of course, this is unrealistic given the necessary needs of society. Our energy needs currently, you just need oil and gas at the moment. There's no way around it at the moment. So anyway, this guy, he points out the White House and Pentagon spokesman, John Kirby, okay? The article talks about this White House and Pentagon spokesperson, John Kirby. So this guy, of course, is saying that the U.S. needs to become less dependent on foreign oil. Yeah, of course, absolutely. Who doesn't agree with that? Absolutely true. But the article here, the writer says Kirby speaks for an administration that have spent the last 21 months doing everything in their power to inhibit domestic U.S. oil production. Ouch. Some heavy criticism. And here's the screenshot. At the same time, this administration has repeatedly pleaded with foreign producers like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and even Venezuela to put more of their own crude on the open market whenever gas prices have spiked. That's the irony, right? It seems to be lost on some folks in power. Now, let's check this out. Now, here is a chart. This is federal acres leased for oil and gas production. First 19 months of administrations. Going back to Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan. Look at Reagan. Boom. That is wild. Bush brought it back down. Clinton, W, Obama, Orange Man, and Biden. Pretty wild. So here's a chart with some gas prices. It's not looking good for California here. Look at that. California average $6.43. Oh, man. That's got to hurt. South is doing a lot better, of course, around $3. You know, standard of living costs are very vastly different. So let's keep that in mind. Now, I found this picture of a gas station in California, and you're starting to see prices creep up past $8. Past $8. That's insane. This is in the LA area. $8.35. Look at that. You can't fill up your Hummer every other day with those prices, right? Look, I don't know about you guys, but my Ferrari only gets 8 miles per gallon. So what do you guys think? These prices are nutso, and it's very unrealistic to push the green energy movement so far that essentially everyone is hurting. Not just hurting, but they're going to be cold, they're going to be hot in the summers. It's just, there's not enough. There's not enough in the power grid and the renewables at the moment to make this a realistic transition so fast. There's no other way around it. And it's also about money, obviously. Obviously, the green movement wants to have some of that pie, and maybe a little too fast, a little too quickly, where it's turning some people off. That's, it's unfortunate. Now, the crisis is so bad with the scary OPEC decision with Russia de-dollarizing the markets that, according to the Wall Street Journal, U.S. is looking to ease Venezuela's sanctions, enabling Chevron to pump oil there. Well, apparently a murderous dictator is better to deal with, right? I mean, it's psychotic. It's just psychotic. So the administration is preparing to scale down sanctions on the authoritarian regime to allow Chevron to resume pumping oil there, paving the way for a potential reopening of U.S. and European markets to oil exports from Venezuela. Interesting. In exchange for the significant sanction relief, the government of Venezuela is supposed to resume talks with the country's opposition to discuss blah, 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 open and fair elections. Do you really think that that guy who's killed his opponents is going to really listen to this? So it does say that the U.S. officials said details are still under discussion and the deal could fall apart. But of course, as the Wall Street Journal points out, engaging with Venezuela, which sits on top of one of the world's largest oil reserves, opens up basically new reserves for the markets. It can replace some of the problems with the energy needs coming out of Russia. So is this going to work? Who knows? But it is crazy. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Just a quick video basically highlighting the Strategit Petroleum Reserve major problem that we have. It's going to run low. Price is going to skyrocket after that. So hopefully somebody comes up with a genius idea, because what else is there, right? I don't know. Anyways, smash that like, subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you in the next one. Maybach.